There you are in plain sight in front of all the people. You're supposed to have it together. You are the CEO of the company. You are a caregiver. You are a parent. You are a sister or brother, the leader of the chapter of such and such and such, and you're hiding in plain sight. You're suffering actually in plain sight. You're suffering in silence and nobody knows. And then some people know that you're suffering, but then they're like, how do I help this person? And because they can't take the pain away, because they can't make it better, because they can't wave a magic wand, you begin to feel helpless because you see the look of helplessness on their face. You feel the look of helplessness on your own face, and then you just feel trapped. That is how I have felt for the majority of 2022. This is probably the most important video I'm going to do of 2022. Important conversation. I'm going to do my best to keep it under 10 minutes because I know that there are so many people connected to me in silence, suffering, and those people connected to them. They've been diagnosed. They have been forgotten, and the world keeps moving, and they feel like they're stuck. Earlier this year, I have notes with me because I want to make sure I keep on task. And if you can hear me, whether you're doing this on replay or live, if you can just say, hear you, Tiffany, or just say the word Tiffany so that I know that you're here. I'm like this. I brought notes with me because I want to make sure that you make this effective. So earlier this year, I was sick. I get rushed to the hospital. I have surgery. I have an emergency surgery. The world turns upside down. I'm the CEO of a company. I own a couple of companies. And of course, you think you have your game together and you're flying pretty damn high, and only to find out that not only you're not flying high, but that you're in trouble. So I find myself in this very vicious cycle of being sick and being in the hospital. I leave the hospital after a 6-hour surgery, and I am on the mend to recovery, right? So we think. I have a walker. I am out of the office for 2 months. Amazing humans like Matt Gill and Jerika Dodd, Ana Gonzalez, Aisha Bell. All of these awesome people are keeping the world put together, and I begin to get better, so we think. But then I find myself in another series of a dark hole. Have you ever been there? Have you ever been in the middle of a black hole and you're like, when am I going to be released from this thing? When am I going to be released? To the person who feels like they have been in a black hole forever and a day, I want you to know that at some point we have to make a new decision. So I found myself in this April's turning into May, and May is turning into June, and I'm not feeling better. I'm actually feeling way worse, but now I'm dealing with a whole series of symptoms. Have you ever been there? Can you just put me too, Tiffany? So I'm in this world of symptoms. And I'm missing days, I'm missing meetings, I'm missing keynotes. I can no longer function on my own. Now I'm being asked to have different CAT scans and MRIs, and then more MRIs, and before I know it, I'm like, I have been in the hospital a lot this year. And then I'm like, not only have I been in the hospital a lot this year, I'm like, I'm drowning. I'm actually drowning. Physically, I was a disaster. So I keep going through all these tests, and let me tell you why I'm talking about this, because I keep going through this test, and you know how you try to tell someone says to you, Tiffany, you okay? As much as I wanted to say, yeah, I'm doing good, I found myself going, no, I'm not okay, but I couldn't quite put my words to what was happening in my body. Have you ever felt like that? Have you ever felt like, man, I'm feeling so bad right now, but I can't even put into words what's happening in my body? So you get tired of trying to explain it to people. You get tired of trying to explain it to a doctor. I got tired. I had 7 doctors. I had been in the hospital maybe 20 times. I had been in and out of the hospital. I had an ungodly amount of needles. I had an ungodly amount of all types of contraptions hooked up to me. Some of you remember me having this white mesh on my head with all of these cords and wires, connected to a thing. I had an MRI that lasted 3 hours. Would you believe I had an MRI that lasted hours, and in the middle of my MRI, the building goes out of power and I'm trapped in the machine? Like, if I could only tell you what 2022 has been like for me, as I have been just dealing with myself and trying to run companies and being the mom of... The reality is that there are so many people connected to you right now who are suffering, and you could change the world by just loving them. So I had people who loved me. a lot, through all my tests, through my emergency hospital visits, through my overnight stays, through my weekends at the hospital. This is what I was doing. I was hanging out at the hospital, like club hospital. It was really out of bounds. Finally, I began to realize that parts of me are not functioning the way they should, and I realized that I'm out of my league. So instead of trying to pretend like things are okay, I decided to start paying more attention to these tests, and I start asking more questions. You know, it's funny, I'm trying to do this, but I almost feel like I should shut this off. Even in the midst of this, I'm feeling like I should shut this off. I can't, this is the craziest feeling for me to be in this seat. So I can't do this. I can't do this. Have you ever had a moment where you know you need to do something and you can't finish? That's where I am right now. So I keep going through tests, tons and tons of tests. And I am drowning in these hospital visits. I'm drowning at home emotionally. I'm drowning at home mentally. I'm drowning around the clock. I watch a lot of people who flee me. I watch a lot of people who leave my side and who claim to be, allies and friends and partners, and they grow very silent. And I want you to know, those of you, I will never forget who you are. I watch something else happen. I watch a lot of people come and encourage me to keep going, because now I'm getting frustrated. We're at the hospital like it's a part-time job, Anyone ever been there where you're at the hospital, a part-time job, the insurance is approving, they're denying that claim, they allow that procedure, that test, etc., etc. So in June, I begin to get a handful of test results that were really off the wall charts, and I start to have a lot of doctors start to call me, and they start introducing themselves. They're like, "Hi, Tiffany Largy, how you doing? My name is so and so. I got your file from such and such place." And I begin at this point. I'm like, when has in my life has a doctor, people who don't know you, start calling you? And I realize that there is something happening inside of all these medical records that are being passed around in this doctor. I went back to my primary care physician, and she said to me, you know why everybody's calling you? Because you're a medical mystery. Fast forward, I get diagnosed. At first, they find a diagnosis. I have something called a lumbar puncture. Anyone know what a lumbar puncture is? It hurts. It is where they put you, and you go into the hospital, and they put you on your stomach, and they do a very invasive procedure, and they pull fluid out of your spine. There's no easy way for me to say this. And so they pull this fluid out of my spine, but after they pull the fluid, I realize that I'm not okay after that. This should be a routine procedure, and I'm not okay after this procedure. I'm a disaster. When the test results come back, I get this diagnosis, and in this crazy diagnosis, I hear that I have something. I shouldn't say they test results come back. It takes 4 weeks for these test results to come back. They got to get to New York. They got to be tested by, all of the people in the government and all of the people who have ever been, apparently. They come back and they tell me that I have this disease. Now, before they tell me, they had begun to believe I have something called MS. What's crazy for me in this picture of MS is I have some of the symptoms of MS, but they're not all quite MS. And anyone knows what MS is? If you know what MS is, can you just do me a favor and put MS in the chat? So, and all you're doing is humoring me and entertaining me. So if you are commenting, if you are sharing, if you are high-fiving me, all you're doing is encouraging me, and you're supporting me. If I've ever supported you, this is a great time for you to support me. In this space of MS, they're like, yes, she has a lot of the symptoms, but she doesn't have all of the symptoms. And fast forward, I get a bunch of these results back, only to find out that I have this thing. As they explain it to me, I'm a little bit baffled, because they explain to me that I have something called NMO, neuromyeloptic optica. Neuromyeloptic optica. This is the first time I've ever said it in public. in this way. It's called NMO. As I stare across at all of these people who are staring back at me, if you can imagine, I'm like the House episode where there are 8 doctors on the other side of me at the Mayo, and they're all in, their white lab coats, and they're staring at me as I'm in this bed not functioning, and they are taking notes and asking questions, and it's like I'm a project. I'm a whole project. As I explain this to me, and if you ask me in the chat, I'll give you the acronyms, because I'm not going to explain to you what this thing does to me. I'm gonna give it to you, because the smartest thing you can do is go head to Google and type it in. You will find pages and pages of people who are in pain and who have been suffering in silence for a really long time, like me. So they explain to me what this diagnosis is, and they try their best, but then they begin to tell me that it's extremely rare. I get diagnosed with this extremely rare disease. Apparently there are only 4,000 people in the US, and those are just those who have been diagnosed. There's only 4,000 people in the US, and the majority of them don't even get treated because they can't afford it. They begin to tell me that in order for me to get, there's only one FDA approved medicine on the market, and this FDA approved medicine on the market is extremely hard to get approved by insurance. I pause because I'm thinking about the fact that my insurance has denied me. You know how much it is for one dose? So I need 2. So there is this disease that I have a disease. It's called NMO. And this disease that I have, it is extremely painful. It is painful. It is hard. And it's every day. Every day I get worse. Every day I progress. Every day it presents new things for me to deal with. On the outside to the world, I look okay and functional. On the inside, I'm in pain. Pain right now I can tolerate and I can talk, but there's a lot of days that I can't talk and I can't do a lot of the things that I need to do. My insurance denied me, and that's what really made me start thinking about people, because immediately I said, okay, I'm going to have to pay for this out of pocket, and if that's the route that I go. Because there's 3 things that I've learned. I've been diagnosed, I am going to have this disease my entire life, and there is no treatment. So those are the 3 facts that I have in front of me as I sit here today. Those are the 3 facts, that there is no treatment for me. There is me treating myself and me trying to figure it out. And there is my family and all of these amazing people who have come to love me as I try to put these pieces together, because I'm still in the middle of it. I'm not at the end. What they've told me is that I'm the only one with this version of my condition in the US. What kind of BS is that? That's insane. The second thing that I've learned is that there are other people who get this, and you want to know how much it is for me to get treated? So I said to the lady, what happens if I don't get approved by the insurance? And she was like, well, you really need to get approved by insurance. And she started asking me all these questions about the insurance that we have, which is through our company. And then I said, you know what, don't worry. Let me just look it up. I can pay for the dose. I can pay for the doses myself. Sure, I'll pay for the doses for this treatment, because help me understand. The treatment plan I need to have every year for the rest of my life, and I'm going to have it, because if not, then I run the risk of losing my ability to walk, losing my eyesight, becoming crippled. Got it. I understand. And I'm going to suffer at the level that I'm suffering every day. Yeah, I get it. I hear you. I understand. You know how much the dose is? So I need 2 doses 2 weeks apart to start the party. Then I need a dose every 6 months for the rest of my life. You want to know how much the dose is? The dose is $154,000. $154,000 a dose. Let me just sit back with that for a moment. I'm here thinking that this thing is gonna be $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. I'm gonna think she's gonna tell me it's gonna be $15,000. I'm thinking for sure, no matter what, that yes, you know what, it'll be $20,000, $25,000. I'm like 100 and what per dose? It's gonna be $400,000 a year to keep me okay, to keep me alive. What are you guys even talking about? You know, it boiled a brand new anger inside of me for two reasons. One, not really because that was in front of me, because I started to think of all the other people, all the other women, all the other humans that look like me, where they're in this place in their life and they get this diagnosis. But then I started to think about all of the people who can never even dream of affording that. And I was like, so what's the game plan there? They just hang out in silence? It reminded me of how many people are around me, or just around in general, who have to live this life battling themselves. Every day I wake up, my body is attacking itself in some capacity, and I never know how, and I never know what it's going to materialize to be. I never know if I'm going to be able to. I don't have a clue. But what I am clear on is that that's not fair. Is it just me? Or does that seem bananas? Like, is it just me, or is that crazy? I'm like, it's going to be $400,000 a year to keep me alive? What are you guys talking about? Here are the two things. So I took notes because I knew that I was going to get to that point and get angry all over again. I literally thought to myself, as I thought to myself, is $400,000 a year to keep me alive? But that has nothing. That doesn't even touch co-payments. That doesn't touch all of the other testing that I need. That doesn't touch the MRIs that I have to get all the time. Like, it doesn't even touch the rest of the medical care. And I was like, that's insane. And then I started to think about all the people who I have insurance. I was like, that's crazy. So as I contemplated to myself, and I started thinking, like, what happens here? Like, what am I actually gonna do? What's the thing? What is the thing, and what are the things? So, and let me just say this. If you've listened to this in any capacity, me and my rant, and you have been diagnosed, you feel like you should be diagnosed, you have been hiding. I don't know how, but find a way to let me know. I know that some part of my next chapter in life is going to be inside of this, but let me tell you what I need right now. Because on the other end of me and this diagnosis, there is a truth that this year I have had 120 some needles in me. I have had more IVs ran in me than I would even know what to do with. I've hung out in the hospital like it's a part-time job. I have a whole host of medical doctors on the other side of me. I have a claim that I have been denied care. So that's a whole different conversation. And I know someone's going to be like, oh, Tiffany, there's a way to. And I'm sure there is a way to, right? But right now, at this moment, it doesn't exist. And what I know is that I'm in pain, right? And that I have just enough for me to talk and function. And I only know today. I can only talk about now. So let me tell you about the couple of things that I'm doing. This is what I've decided. Number one, I'm going to spend the next year of my life, as long as I can, make this make sense. I'm going to spend the next year of my life teaching other people how to do and duplicate what I've done. And what I mean by that is I'm going to certify other coaches. I'm going to certify other people. I'm going to take what I know, because we produce ridiculous results. I produce crazy results for clients. We've done some crazy, awesome things in terms of building a brand and a worldwide movement and being a keynote speaker and all of these things, writing a book, like all of those things. But more importantly, how do you become a great coach? How do you become great? And I'm going to teach, and I think the number I settled on was 33 people in the beginning of 2023. That's what I want to do, is work with people intimately, and I'm going to certify them on how to be how to be a coach, a great coach, how to produce great results for other people in their lives, not in their business. I'm not interested in their business anymore. Because, like, I could teach anybody how to build a bigger business and things like that, and they're important, but nothing is as important as you building a life that you actually for real love. Nothing is as important as the moments that you're having right now. And one thing's for sure is I know how to live a do the damn thing life. I live a do the damn thing life. I'm diagnosed, yes, but I'm not defeated. I'm not dead. Those are two things I'm not. I am not dead and I'm not defeated. And I'm not done. I am determined, and I am I am determined, and I am clear, because my determination that the people of this planet, while you still can, the people who have the function to move and do things I can't, you need to be seeking more in this life, not more money, more you, more self. I have mastered self. I have mastered me. I have mastered me. I have mastered this life. Like building an actual life that's delicious is the goal. That's what you take with you. And in all honesty, if I did die, if this next 12 months is my last 12 months on this planet, I lived my dreams. I live a life that I love. Most people who are twice my age can't even entertain that, because they have never loved their life, and they don't live a life that they love. So I'm going to be taking 33 people, and I'm going to show them how. I'm going to give them, instead of taking on more, I'm going to certify coaches. I'm going to launch the certification that I have talked about forever. And we've already done so privately. If this is for you and you're like, oh, I want to teach people how to desire more. I want to teach people how to go get their more, how to be more, how to have more from a fulfillment. I want to teach people how to build a DTDT life. If that is you and you're like, that is so me, I already have a quick talk, and I'll just send you the link and you can watch me walk through it. We begin training in January. There's all types of other bells and whistles. The second thing I'm going to say is I've decided that anybody who I've ever helped or loved or has loved me, I would like to see you in March. This upcoming March 7th through the 10th in Las Vegas, come hell or high water, I'm going to be on stage teaching how do you build a more life. How do you build more in your life? Not how do you build more money. How do you get to the point where you're at my age and you're like, yep, I love my life, but yes, I'm done. I could be called home because I actually built and lived my dreams. I'm good. I lived a delicious life. That event is going to be the first time that I teach in a long time. We are about to sign a contract with a special room that doesn't have smoking for 250 people. And I'm determined to have 250 people who I have helped or touched come and be with me. Between now and then, I'm going to have more needles and more hospital stays. I'm going to have more late nights. I'm going to have more cuss words. I'm going to have more ER visits. I'm going to have more specialists down my back. I'm going to have more things. They're going to happen. I already know they're going to happen, because that's this part of my story. What I know is what I can control. I'm asking. I want to see everybody. I don't think that I need to complicate it more than that. I want to see everybody in one room. I haven't asked for that or done that in a long time. And as I ask myself, what is it that I want more than anything? I want to see the people. I want to hug them. I want to high five people in the room. I want to booty bump them. And if I can't hold myself up, I want to sit in a chair while I touch their hands. I want to see you. So I'm asking you to come to Vegas in March, in the first week of March. There's no link or anything here yet, but there will be a link, or you can ask me for it. It is simple. I plan to throw the biggest party, and to build the biggest party, even if I cannot move. I have a walker still, and I have great people who can hold me up. Those are the two things that I am clear on. I am really, really clear on what my purpose is. And if you're I'm very clear on what my purpose is. And I'm asking you to move heaven and earth to be there with me. It'll be. And if you hear this At that point, I'm going to evolve even more than I am right now. Like, what does it mean to build this kind of life? Because now I still need to be the CEO of these companies. I still need to figure out how to be a mom to a college kid, a high school kid, a middle schooler. I need to figure out how to be a great partner, a good sister, a best friend, an employer, a CEO, a bill payer. I still have to be all of those things. And now I need to manage this disease that is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. There is no one better to teach you how to do whatever it is. Though I am going to master a new level of myself at that point. And not only will I master a new level of myself at that point, I'm going to embrace the people who have loved me first. The people who have loved me first and who have stood by me and who have held my hand, I'm going to take care of them first. Just because you've been diagnosed doesn't mean that you're done. It just means that you're detoured and you have to find a different way. Even if you have to ask for help daily, even if that means you're going to limp now as you walk, I'm still going to get to the destination. I said a long time ago that we were going to Wembley. I think people think I'm joking with that. I'm not at all. And now I am clear as I think about how many people are misdiagnosed every year, how many days this year I spent crying by myself, how hard it has been for me to be in public, how hard it is for me to watch people. I just feel like nobody gets to make excuses anymore. Like the old version of me tolerating and allowing excuses of mediocrity. Oh God, that person is so gone. She don't even exist anymore. We have the best team, and the team might feel unconventional to most people, but let me tell you some of the people who have been just so awesome, and I love them. Matt Gill and Aisha Bell and Candice. Her new name is Palermo, but her other name is Daniolo. And Albert Smith and Jerika and Anna and my Jada Beta and Maya Elise and my mom. My mom drove across the country because I wasn't feeling well and she's afraid to fly. So she drove across the country from North Carolina last week. And she drove here to Phoenix in 3 days. I saw her courage and her determination. She drove by herself and didn't tell anybody, and she surprised me. And then she got to Phoenix. And I was thinking, she inspired me because she was afraid, but she decided to do it anyways. She did it. It was hard. It was inconvenient. Can you imagine my mom, a little black lady driving through Arkansas by herself? She's never been there. Can you imagine her driving through Oklahoma and she's never been there, all because she needed to come and touch and feel me? And she got here 2 days ago, and I saw her, and I thought about all the people who have not come to see me, who have not sat with me, all the people who have forgotten. And I said, that's okay, because I'm going to be done with all of them, and I'm going to pick up. And Albert told me he's going to help me because sometimes I need help, but he helps me, and I am going to get all the things done. So I would like for you to come to Vegas just to sit with me in March. If I have ever helped you or done anything for you, or your life has changed because of me facing my fears over the last couple of years, I'm actually asking you to make the sacrifice and come see me in Vegas. I am. I'm boldly. And if I know that you hear this and you make a decision not to, I'm going to judge you for it. I also want to make that clear. I don't want you to think I'm not. I am going to judge you for it, especially if I ask you. The second thing is, all those people that I named, please say a prayer for them tonight, because they really do a lot. And we have been trying to figure all of this out. And I don't have all of the answers because I'm still not approved. But I'm going to find another way to get care, to figure out how to care. The last but not least, if you know that you need to, if you want to be one of these few people who learn all of the tricks in the trade of how to actually be an awesome coach, because the majority of this industry is trash and they don't produce results, they just produce new invoices for people. Please let me know, because that is what I'm focused on between now and the end of the year, hunting for these 33 apprentices and the right people. The first step is an interview. And these 33 apprentices, some other things. Let me just say one else. If you are like, if you're like, hey, I really want a job, and I don't know who you are, but if you know someone who's really awesome, I have 2 positions that I'm going to be hiring for to work really closely with me in the first half of 2023, but you have to move to Phoenix. That's it. If you have like a bush growing in your backyard that can help me, tell me about it. If your mother is a medicine doctor in Nebraska and she developed some, I want to hear about it. I'm on the hunt. If you know a functional medicine doctor, if you know anybody in the Cleveland Clinic, Cleveland Clinic doctor, I don't know. I have a long list. But that's it. The end. Thank you.